This is part 3, third video, Fourth Commandment, part 1. Well, that could get confusing, couldn't it? Yeah, so this is the Fourth Commandment, part 1. I'm breaking it into 2 parts because there's some different lessons we can get out of this Bible verse, and it's one of the longer commandments out there. So remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. That's the first part we're going to be talking about. And I'm not going to get into doctrine. Some of you keep your Sabbath on Sunday, and some of you, like myself, keep it on Saturday, the 7th day of the week. Our obviously Jewish friends, if they're been watching any of these, it's on Sabbath as well, sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. So whatever is the day for you, the psychology, the life lessons we can get out of this commandment are very impactful. So keep the Sabbath day to holy. That's the King James Version. There's other versions out there. Holy means to be set apart, to consecrate. And when we have something set apart, it's unique. And I think that that's really important for us to realize we have different personalities, different character traits. We're all unique. And I think we need to embrace that in each other and not be so offended when someone is not like us, which, we would never say we're offended because someone isn't like us, but really that's what happens. We take things personally when, someone doesn't like something we've made. Maybe we've made a big dinner and we're so excited about this new recipe and they're like, it was okay. It kind of sucks the joy out of it. But that's taking it kind of personally, and we're all unique and individual. But that kind of went somewhere I wasn't expecting. That wasn't the first lesson I was going to talk about, but that's definitely one of the lessons in this commandment, is being set apart. But the second one is that it's a day of rest. And if we look at Genesis, when God first instituted the Sabbath rest, he talked about resting from all his work, and the verse goes on to talk about, resting from your work and that you're responsible to make sure no one's working in your, in your purview, your home, or what you have control over, because we need rest so much. This is truly a very important point when it comes to psychology. We call it self-care in psychology. It's really important for us to take care of ourselves, both physically and emotionally. We need rest. That's why God, 1 in 7 days, whole days. Now, a lot of us don't really keep Sabbath the way God intended it. And it is a challenge even for me. I do set aside the day, and I try to do all my prep on Friday so that the day is just set aside and I can relax. But, there's, again, a scale of how well you could keep it. And if you get too worried about keeping it right, well, that adds more stress, right? So I try to look at it as, how can I connect even more with God? Because I need him to fill me. I mean, that's how I feel whole. That improves my mental health more than anything else I can do, is to connect with God. And I think nature's a really important part of doing that. It says that it's the day he created. It's a remembrance of his creation, that he's the creator. He can recreate in us. He can fill us and make us whole. So this verse is so powerful. It's like a promise. I will help you. I'm going to empower you to be a better person emotionally and physically and behaviorally, because I want you to have joy, and I want to bring joy into your life. This is God's promise to us in this commandment. And so while it kind of gets shuffled off, and we're really quick to go, well, it's important not to kill anybody, it's important not to steal, we forget how important it is to have this Sabbath rest. Because if we don't have these first 4 commandments, which are all related to our relationship with God, then the last 6 are going to be really hard to do. Well, might not be hard to murder, but when we get to that lesson, we'll find out there's more to it than that. So rest is just an important lesson we can learn from this commandment, which is really important for our mental health and our well-being. And of course, even in mainstream psychology, like I said, self-care is really important. Physically, we need a break from all the hustle and bustle. Getting out in nature is a really, really, really great way to get rest and to get connected with God, because that's his second book. I mean, really, it's his first book, because that's the first one he wrote. He created the world long before Moses ever wrote out the scriptures. And, you know, there was over 2,000 years before Moses wrote the books of the first 5 books of the Bible anyways. So there was no other book of the Bible for like 2,000 years. So can you imagine how important nature really is? And of course, they did have the anecdotal and the passed down traditional talks. You know, Adam lived to like 900 years, so at rate, you know, close to halfway up to Noah. So they got to hear right from the horse's mouth what God was like through Adam, and stories would have been a big part of passing on these important traditions and life lessons and the things that God wants to share. We've really lost that, especially in the white culture, which is really bad in there. But we've really lost this handing over the baton, so to speak, of the lessons that God has taught us. And I think we really undermine our personal stories and our testimonies, which I think are really important. I mean, we look at King David and we think, wow, what an amazing story, but he was just a human being like you and I. He was just passing on his story to his generations when they wrote his story. So our stories are very important. And again, it seems to be straying away from this fourth commandment, but I just think it's so connected. The commandments are so much more than just do nots. They are so much bigger and deeper, and we can just learn so much from them. So that's what I would say is the takeaway. Number one, you are unique because God has created the Sabbath for you. It says the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. And it's there to give us a day of rest, to connect with God, to get a break from all of life's worry and care and stress. And that is really important for your mental health. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave your comments and criticisms below, but be kind, because we're all real people with real problems and real feelings. Thank you for watching.